We're with Mike Burton, winner of 3 gold medals, the 68 and 72 Olympics. It's fun to see that videotape. You ever get tired of it? You always win, I know.
That's the best part about it. I take that when I'm asked to speak to school classes or banquets. I usually take that along and show that one. It's you know, it's always fun to watch you do something that you accomplished and relive the memories a little bit.
Well, we claim you here in Des Moines. You were born in Des Moines, and you when did you come back? In 1980?
I came back to Des Moines in 1980 after growing up in California, and I came back and started the Des Moines Swimming Federation, and I coached there until the middle of the summer of '86, and had a few good swimmers.
You are not in coaching now. What are you doing?
I'm working at Johnny's Vets Club. I tend bar and work the door, seat people, things like that. Actually, I do whatever needs to be done. But
you're thinking about returning to coaching?
Yes, I'm thinking very strongly. In fact, I have applied at 2 different places for a coaching position, and hopefully one of them will take me on, because I'm anxious to get back to it.
What do you miss about it?
I think I miss the kids the most. They're fun to work with. They keep you young, and it's fun to watch them improve, because they, you know, when they work hard, they will improve.
What did you enjoy most about your swimming career? Obviously, winning the gold medals, but I mean, what was it day in and day out that you enjoyed most?
Well, probably number 1 was competing. I loved the competition. Probably the second thing I liked the most was the travel. I got to see the United States, I got to see the rest of the world, and it's a great education.
At what age did you know that you might be a gold medal winner, that you were really good?
I think I was probably about 17 years old, and I was on my way up the ladder, and I thought, well, this is fun to do, and I think we can take this all the way. I went to...
was it that easy to win?
No, it's never easy. I went to my first Olympic trials in New York City in 1964, and that was to make the team that went to Tokyo, and I was 5th in the 1500 there. And on the plane ride back home, I think that's when it hit me that, you know, I had a chance, and I didn't take advantage of it. And
you felt like you hadn't worked hard enough, or you hadn't tried hard enough?
Right. You know, because I was still looking up to all these guys like Roy Sari and people like that, Don Scholander, and not thinking that I was their equal or even, you know, even close to being better. And that was the wrong attitude. You have to think that you're, you know, you put your pants on the same way, and at least you can, you know, go out and compete against them. And
so you'd gotten close enough that you realized you were maybe their equal.
Yeah, yeah. 5th place was only 2 places off the team, and I was thinking, boy, I blew it. And on the plane ride home, I made up my mind that, you know, 68 was looking really good for me.
People who win the Olympics, almost, I would think everyone who has won Olympics has had to sometime dedicate themselves to that. I mean, you can't do it just on talent, can you?
Oh, some people can, but yes, but it doesn't always work that way. For me, when I first started competitive swimming, it just took hard work. And with Sherm Shavor watching over me and telling me what to do and cracking the whip and motivating me, it was somewhat easier. Sherm wrote a book shortly after the 72 games called The 50-Meter Jungle. And in that book, he states that he and I revolutionized distance swimming because up to that time, people weren't willing to go long distances in practice and things like that, and we did. And I think, you know, having Debbie Meyer and myself do so well in the distance races is a, you know, a real tribute to Sherm and what he did with us.
Can you name an athlete, though, who's just kind of waltzed through the Olympics?
Mark.
Did he really?
Mark Spitz, yeah.
That was 72 as well?
Uh-huh. He was on the 68 team, had a rough time, won 2 gold medals on relays. And in Munich, he took 1 race at a time, and, you know, he was very focused. And I didn't think there was anybody that could come close to him. And basically, there wasn't. And I always thought that if he'd worked harder, he'd been even faster.
He tried to come back not that long ago. He tried to work hard then, I guess, but it was too late, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, old age, I think, caught up with him. Because I watched some of the races that he had in, you know, the past summer. And his stroke was just a little off. It didn't look like he looked in Munich, you know, and I think, you know, as you get older, we all know that we lose our flexibility and our timing and everything else, so.
He was really the first to profit a lot from the Olympics, was he not? One of the first?
Probably the first swimmer to really profit from the Olympic Games.
Did that make you envious in any way?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we'd all like to do that, you know. But it just doesn't always work out that way.
Times have changed, though. I mean, a 3 gold medal winner today would profit almost automatically, wouldn't he?
It seems to be that way. Again, you know, who knows? You've got to have, I think, somebody out there pulling for you, pulling the right strings, having you meet the right people, things like that, before it'll happen. But
was that never a thought of yours in 72?
Well, yeah, actually it was. I even traveled to New York and visited some agencies, and they basically told me that you didn't win 7. So
it was the wrong year because Spitz had won 7.
Yeah. You know, nowadays, you know, you can pick up 1 or 2 swimmers or 1 or 2 gymnasts or 3 or 4 or 5 basketball players. But back then, you know, if you weren't number 1, it just wasn't feasible.
I want to ask you more about the state of the Olympics today, and we'll do that when we continue our conversation with Mike Burton in just a moment. '68 Olympics again. Mike Burton, of course, winning a gold medal. 2 of them in the '68 Olympics, 1 in the '72. I want to ask you about '72 Olympics again. You weren't that far away in the compound area from where the well, we had the Palestinians, the Black September League attacking the Israelis, and then there was a hostage situation, and you weren't that far away.
No, actually, I was very close to it. My balcony to my room was just 200 meters across the courtyard to where the Israelis were living, and you could see the fellow, the terrorists on the balcony there with the ski mask on and everything else. But that was about as close as you could get to it. And of course, all day long, there were news people and everything very, very close to it. And it was a pretty devastating thing. Fortunately, I guess, I was finished with my competition, and we were on our way to a town outside of Munich called Regensburg for an exhibition. And it wasn't until after we got back and the next day that we heard that so many terrible things had happened.
It really put a pall on the whole Olympics in a way, didn't it?
It really did. There was, you know, there was some talk about canceling the games altogether or having a moratorium, and they agreed to have a moratorium in the Olympic Stadium for a day. They stopped the Olympic Games for a day, which I believe that was the first time that that's ever happened.
You can't ever escape politics completely in Olympics. Have you run into it in your own experiences? Not really. I've never had a problem. With our event, you touch the wall first and you win. And it's timed electronically, so, you know, the human factor's left out. And so we haven't had a problem with swimming. What about Olympics overall? Do you see an improvement in that respect, or is there politics as usual? I think it'll be politics as usual. It's very, very difficult to run an event like the Olympic Games with so many different cultures and so many different countries involved without having some kind of political upheaval here and there in the Olympic Games. For example, we've already had it with our volleyball team. And it just, you know, those kinds of things are going to happen. Some people criticize the Olympics having watched the gymnastics, and they say these young kids are losing their childhood. And the case of Kim Zmeskal, you wonder what she's left with after all of that sacrifice. What do you say? Well, to answer that, I just say, well, what are they losing? I went to my, graduation party in high school. I went to all the proms, all the dances. Some of them I showed up late because I went to practice and I went to the dance. It's just a matter of choice. And the education that a Kim Zmeskal may get from traveling around the world and doing gymnastics, I think may outweigh the fact that, she didn't get to play in the sandbox or whatever. So it's a matter of choice, really. And I think it's well worth it to compete and learn how to compete. there's also the focus on winning that gold medal, and you won the gold medal and walked away from it. Does that make that experience different because you won and she didn't? Or is there something more than just winning the gold medal there?
I think there's more. I think being in the Olympics is just a great thrill. It's our Super Bowl for the amateur athlete, and being there and participating is great fun. And like I mentioned before, I never swam a race I didn't think I was going to win, and I always tried to do that. Now, had I not won in Munich, there'd be no question I wouldn't have gone on and tried again. I still would have retired. So it was that was just icing on the cake, and you do your best, and if you come out a winner, that's what it's for.
20 years later, it still influences your life?
Always, yeah. I always think about it, and I get called to speak at some grade schools, classes, things like that, and of course none of them were even born then, so they're getting a bit of history.
Well, they still get to see your tapes too.
Right.
Well, congratulations to you, and good luck. We hope that you'll be able to get back into coaching.
Thank you.
Stopping by to talk to us, Mike Burton, and it was fun to see those medals too. Add another person touching. Thank you for being with us again this week on 13 Weekly, and we'll look for you again next week.